Check it out. We're live on Facebook. I'm here, Michael Hellickson. It is Club Wealth TV. I'm here with Chad Schwenneman. And let me tell you something. I met Chad at an event, a rate event, a real radio and TV experts event with Matt Wagner. And I got to tell you, there are very few people that have had the level of success that Chad has. In fact, in his best year, Chad closed 943 transactions with a very small, relatively small team of just 13 agents plus himself and 3 ISAs, which that's not a big team. And so to put this in perspective, last year in 2023, there were literally 38 real estate teams that did over 1,000 transactions. That's not a lot of the market. And only 68 real estate teams that did over 600 transactions. And Chad here did 943 in his best year. So Chad, congratulations on a great year.
Yeah.
Love the model. And what I love especially, and I can't wait to dive deep into this, is how you're doing it, how you have had this level of success with such a small team. And so let's just get going on that, because it's not fancy stuff. And, I'm guessing you probably have Barbara Corcoran's endorsement if you're working with Matt and all that, but it sounds to me like that wasn't the catalyst. That's not the actual reason why. Now, I'm sure it helped. I'm sure that brought value. But tell us what it was. How did you close 943 transactions in a single year for over $250 million in volume?
Yeah, I mean, that was our best year. So that was 2020. And really, we had a Navy SEAL team. I mean, our agents were, really the best of the best, great negotiators, but highly disciplined. And that's probably the key is, in my market, we service about 70,000 people. So it's not a huge market. Do a lot of advertising, spend nearly $95,000 a month in marketing and advertising. So whether it's billboards, TV, radio, pay-per-click, Zillow, realtor.com, you name it, we're there. But more important than spending the money is the follow-up of the agents. So we have our 3 ISAs that are, cultivating those leads, but also it's reliant on the individual agent and having that discipline to prospect, a minimum of 2 hours a day. Ideally, we like to see 3 hours a day. And we talk a lot about eating the frog in the morning. So no appointments till after 12. I mean, obviously things pop up, but we really try and hold our agents to that standard that let's get the prospecting done first thing in the morning, our follow-up task, whatever we need to do. And then in the afternoon after lunch, let's take some new business and appointments. And those that follow it, continue to see great success. It's, trying to get the agents off the roller coaster of real estate, right? And you know that better than anybody, but being a coach is they're busy for a month and they slow down because they forgot what they did to get that business, right? And they're too busy, whether it's ego or lack of discipline. Those are some of the challenges. But yeah, we really had a team that understood the importance of the prospecting and going out there and, fishing for their own business.
I love the way you're putting all of this. And you were literally speaking my language right now. Yeah, it cracks me up. This is an example of things that a coach that's not actually sold real estate before can't really understand this at a deep level. I mean, at the end of the day, until you've been in the trenches making those calls, you don't know how hard it is. You don't know how grueling and challenging and demoralizing and sometimes depressing and just difficult it can be to, as you said, you coined or quoted a phrase coined by a good friend. I just didn't say good friend, but by an acquaintance of mine, Brian Tracy, and he said, "Eat the frog," right? And you got to eat that frog early in the morning. And the bigger, if you got more than one frog to eat, then guess what? You eat the biggest, slimiest frog first. And
Yes.
And for 99% of the agents out there, that's prospecting. It's picking up
Yeah.
the phone,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so first of all, 100% agree with you on everything you said. Now what I want to know is, I want to get into the nitty gritty. So I want to really break down your process, your systems, but I want to start with mindset, and I want to start with, how do you get these agents in the mindset? Now, for us, my son, for example, and myself, when, with our teams, it's, you're in the office by 7:30 in the morning. From 7:30 to 8, we do daily huddle. From 8 o'clock till noon, you're making calls. 4 hours a day, and your number one KPI is you got to hit 2 appointments a day, no matter what, with new appointments with people you've not yet met that are interested in buying or selling a home now or in the future. What I want to know from you is how are you getting your agents to embrace this, and how are you motivating them to do it every single day? Because you don't get to 943 if they're not, and let me rephrase, they may not be motivated every day, but they're disciplined enough to do it every day. And that's what I want to know is how did you get them to do that?
Well, so we have accountability groups within the team, and it's not always me preaching and coaching, but it's sometimes the veterans, doing it as a team. So they'll do their morning powwow, could be 15, 20 minutes is all, and holding each other accountable. Hey, let's hammer this, let's see the results, and sharing that as a team and celebrating successes as a team is critical. And so a lot of the agents will do a daily activity report, and we'll shout out congratulations to so and so on, setting 2 appointments and getting an accepted offer. So we really want to celebrate the successes. And then those agents that maybe didn't prospect see that, oh shoot, that person set 2 appointments and closed one. I gotta up my game a little bit or get back to the basics. And really, doing this 25 years, it's amazing how you can chase that shiny new object, but really it is picking up the phone, it's dialing, it's just having that discipline. And I was just on a call, and success is boring.
Mhm.
Success is boring, right? It's not exciting, it's not extravagant, it's not flashy, but it's doing those things consistently day in and day out that really develops the great agents.
I love that you said that because success is boring. I mean, look at me. I'm the most boring guy on the planet, man. I just reek success. Why? Because I'm boring. I'll do the boring stuff. I don't care, man. You know what I do now? My week now consists of I get on a plane every Monday morning. I fly to a city. The next morning, Tuesday morning, I teach a seminar. Then I get in a car and I drive to my next city. And guess what I do the next morning? I teach a seminar. Then I get in my car again. I go to the next city, and guess what I do? I teach the exact same seminar I've taught all week long. And then I get on a plane and I come back home. And Thursday night till Monday morning, I get to be with my wife. And that's boring. It's not exciting stuff, right? Because it's literally I'm teaching the same class every single day, and then we switch our classes up. But my point is, it's so for a 6 month window, it's the same class. Then I do a new class for the next 6 months, but it's the same one every day, right? And I look at the most successful real estate agents. What do? They get on the phone every day. They say the same thing to 1,000 people every freaking day, right?
Yeah.
It's just the same. The scripting doesn't change. What they're saying doesn't change. The appointment, they schedule an appointment, then they go on the appointment. Guess what the appointment is? The same thing every single time, right? It's
Yep.
the same exact appointment every single time. Super boring, but that's what makes the money. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. Totally. Yep. 100%.
You said you had a 3-person listing team. Is that right?
And myself. Yeah.
And yourself. So 4 of you going on listing appointments. And so would you say that the 4 of you have a listing appointment or listing presentation that's substantially similar to one another?
Oh, for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And are you guys following a checklist on that appointment?
Mhm.
I freaking love you. You're my guy, dude. Let me just tell you. You're speaking my language, man. I love people. Watch this. All the top listing agents I know around the country, and anybody that I know that does over 100 listings a year individually, right? Everybody I'm aware of that does over 100 listings a year follows a checklist on their listing appointments. Everybody. Yeah, I mean, it's just, and that's what it takes. And by the way, all of them make calls for at least 3 hours and usually 4 hours a day.
Yeah.
So you're three listing agents, and you. I want to know how many hours are each of you making a day? Just the listing agents.
Oh, I mean, the goal is three, right? 3 hours
Yeah.
of prospecting.
Yeah.
And we know, as you know, internet lead buyers about 14 months and a seller's 28 months. So it's much longer game. It's longer to cultivate. And whether we do quarterly events too. And so it's not always asking the seller to sell, it's inviting them to our quarterly events, building that relationship, building that rapport. So when they do raise their hand, we're top of mind, obviously. So we've got our big fall. We just did a big movie theater event where we rented 5 theaters. And we had 500, nearly 500 people there. The theaters held 555. So we didn't want to have too many there, but that was 500. We'll do our Fall Fest. We'll have over 1,000 people, and that's beer, brats, live music. It's a great event, and people love that. So it's always, you can't call and just ask for the sale every single time. So for us, it's continuing to offer value and hey, come to our event. We're going to feed you, give you free beer, listen to live music, and again, building that relationship. So.
I love what you're doing there because, and first of all, I want to make sure we don't skip over this. You were very clear. You said 28 months on average from the time you get a lead for a listing lead till the time that lead turns into a transaction. 28 months. That's over 2 years. And the reason I'm saying this is because most people can't hang in their 2 months, let alone 2 years.
Exactly.
Yeah. And during those 2 years, let's look at what does that process look like. So I'm a lead that you received, a listing lead you received. And now for the next 28 months, while you're waiting for me to mature and become ready, for that, as a lead to be ready to transact business and to list my home with you. What I want to know is exactly what does my experience look like during that 28 months?
Yeah, so we're trying to call once every 30 days, ideally. And again, it's offering value if it's a surrounding home that's sold, making them aware how many days on the market, what it's sold for, offering a free updated market analysis, just checking in. Again, inviting them to our client events is critical. So that's 4 times a year. They're going to get a call and we're offering something for free. And actually, they enjoy it, right? Whether who doesn't love free movie, popcorn and pop, or free pumpkin pie or beer, brats, whatever it is. So those are important calls to build that relationship and then just keeping them abreast of the market and just kind of checking in to see where they're at. And again, it's a long play and whether they want to list today or tomorrow or 5 years from now, we just want to be in front of them.
This is it's funny to me. I'm laughing because all of the things you're talking about right now are what I see consistently. If I were to go into the businesses of these 68 agents that I told you did over 600 transactions last year, if I were to go in and look at all 68 of their businesses, I can promise you that 64 of them, their business looks almost identical to yours. And when it comes to team member makeup, team member, roles and duties, the frequency with which, I'm going to say they're going to all be between 3 and 4 hour minimum expectations on calls per day. They're all running some sort of an ISA team. They're all running some sort of a daily huddle. They're all running some sort of a used daily activity tracker. I know who you coached with that gave you that. That's funny. I know exactly where you got that. Yeah, and he was one of my coaches back in the day too. And we use Stat Tracker now. It's an electronic product, that we created. It's similar to like a CTE or a CSU or whatever, just better and easier to use. But it's kind of that, it's kind of like that DAR with those products kind of in one. But I start looking at these people that are doing over 600 transactions a year. And again, there was only 68 teams that did that last year. And all of them have these commonalities. And there's an expectation. People throw around this. One of the words that cracks me up when I hear people say it. People like to throw around the word excellence. Oh, we strive for excellence. What the freak does that even mean? Like, I don't even think most people know what that means, but they like to throw it around because it sounds good. And it's like, look, let me tell you what excellence looks like. Excellence looks like get your butt over there and pick up that freaking phone, make your freaking calls, go on the appointments, and do the same thing over and over again every day for the rest of your career. And guess what's going to happen? If you take some of that money and you invest in real estate, we're going to come back. We're getting to that. That's next. And you take that money and you invest it into real estate, or I know you're investing in Bitcoin. We'll have that. People are. I can't wait for people to hear that conversation because you know how I feel about Bitcoin. But if people take some of those chips off the table, doing this boring stuff, and then go invest in some boring stuff like rental properties, and you've got over 100 of them, and if people will just do that, guess what? You'll get to a point where you don't have to work anymore, and you won't have to do the boring stuff anymore. And now you can do as much of the fun stuff as you want, right? Would you agree with that?
100%.
Yeah.
Without question.
Dude, I love this. You know what I love about it? I get so sick and tired of people that are doing very little, trying to tell people how, or nothing at all, trying to tell people how to crush it in this business. And all the guys like you, and I say guys, all the agents like you and me that have had massive success in our careers, we're just boring. We're
Uh,
just doing the straightforward stuff. Go ahead.
tell my agents this all the time. I said real estate's such a beautiful business because it doesn't matter what your education level is. Doesn't matter if you grew up poor, grew up wealthy. Doesn't matter what your parents did in the past or if they're big shots or lived in a trailer park. It really comes down to how do you relate to people and how well are you willing to follow up and your drive, your desire. And I tell agents all the time, if I talk to 25 people a day and you talk to three, I'm going to sell more houses. 100% of the time, or vice versa. You talk to 25 people a day, provided our scripts are equal, right? 25 people a day, and I talk to three, you're going to sell more houses. And it's just totally a numbers game. And that's what I love about this business is, if you're slow, come in and work from 6 to 9 p.m. and go fish a little bit and catch some fish and make things happen and watch what happens to your business. You don't have to wait for the customer to come into your shop, your retail shop. I mean, you can make the phone calls. You can go door knock, you can do all those little things. Now with us, we generate, 600 plus leads a month. So we've got our CRM and they can go fish. They can fish in the pond so much easier than a solo agent who's, hey, I don't know who to call, right? Who do I call? Well, go through the phone book, call your sphere, call your friends, call your family. Well, that works to a certain extent, but after that second call, guess what? They start declining your number because again, you're not offering anything of value. You're not offering free events, things like that, because you can't afford it as a solo agent. So I think as we see the market shift, the team is going to be bigger and bigger and bigger for people to join.
Gosh, it's like you're in my head, Chad. You're killing me, man. Like, so I've been telling people this for years and years and years. Back in the day, the only guys that had team were me and Chris Heller. Like we were it, man. There was a couple others. Jake Kinder came along eventually, built his team. And then he had, Curtis Johnson, and there was a few others. But there was very few of us that were building teams 25 years ago, right? Or 33 years ago, really. And we've been telling people forever, guys, this is the future. This is the future. This is the future. And the people that did not listen, guess where they are today? They're not even in the business anymore.
Yeah,
The people that
absolutely.
listened, guess where they are today? They're freaking rich. They built teams. They've got momentum there. And here's the thing. You don't need to be the team leader to make millions of dollars. I can tell you right now, I know team members all across the United States and Canada that literally are making 250, 400, $500,000 a year take home, and they don't have to deal with the drama of running the team. They don't have to recruit, hire, train, retain, provide the systems, the tools, the staff, the resources, the leads, all the stuff that's got to be provided. They don't have to do any of that stuff. All they got to do is show up, make calls, get the listing or get the transaction, hand it off to somebody who takes it from there to make sure it gets closed, and you go get the next one.
Yep. Pretty simple.
Whole different world today than it was 20 years ago. And it cracks me up because everybody's trying to reinvent the wheel. Everybody's trying to reinvent the model, but the fact of the matter is the team model works. And everybody wants to put their own little spin on it. No, I'm going to pay 70% splits and I'm going to pay this. Dude, you're going to be out of business. Just trust me. Like, you're going out of business.
Well, and again, we have this, it doesn't matter what your split is, it's about what your net, right? I mean,
That's right.
I've seen agents gross a lot of money, but their net is pretty pathetic. They should go work at, Target.
Yeah.
And again, it's fascinating. But for us, we talk a lot about that. It's really about the net. It's not about the gross.
That's exactly right. It's funny. In fact, my favorite KPI for team leaders especially is NDPH, which is net dollars per hour. Right?
Absolutely.
What are your net dollars per hour? Because the reality is we all have the same amount of time in the day, right? And we get to choose how much of that time are we going to trade for how much money, right? And money, and I don't mean to sound greedy or that, it's all about money or anything like that. The reality is money is freedom. Money is choices. Money is options, right? Yeah. And so why wouldn't I want more? And by the way, if you're Christian and you believe in the Bible, well, guess what? It says right in the Bible, read the parable of the talents, right? Making money is a talent we have. And by the way, I feel a moral obligation to make as much money as humanly possible, because guess what I can do with that money? Not only can I buy cool stuff for my family and I can buy my time back, more importantly, but I can go do other stuff. I can do stuff for other people. I can bring value to the world in ways that I can't do if I'm broke. People will listen to me because I have money. Not, people listen to rich people, right? I mean, it's just, I'm not saying it's right, wrong, or indifferent. I'm just saying that that buys you attention and that, what's that?
I totally agree with that.
Yeah. And so I know what's going on? Did
My
something just
light, my motion light shut off, so I had to move.
I was like, is there a tornado going on? Or you all right?
No.
Dude, that's funny. So, all right. So, first of all, yeah, I love that you're bringing up teams, and I love that that there's so much that teams provide. They provide synergy, they provide all the stuff I talked about before, and they provide accountability. And I'll tell you that accountability piece. If we're being honest about real estate, what do you think, Chad? Tell me, what percentage of real estate agents do you think have ADD?
90.
Yeah, I always like to say all the good ones, right?
Yeah,
And
amen.
so the great ones, the good ones all have ADD. The great ones learn how to focus that ADD in a particular direction. It's kind of like, ADD, I've always believed it's like, having a Ferrari with no brakes, right? And with no steering wheel. When you learn what the steering wheel is and how to apply the brakes properly, all of a sudden now your Ferrari can do what it was born to do, right? You can take that and you can channel it in a direction, make a ton of money. So, all right, well, we'll come back to that. Let's back up. Right now, how many people are on your team today?
Let's see. So 3 ISAs. We have an acquisition specialist, 3 listing partners, myself, and 11 buyers agents with 3 having their own showing partner.
Okay. I love that you're allowing them to build a team within the team. That's smart. Now, are your showing partners, is their career path, are a lot of them planning on eventually becoming, the buyer agent, or are they?
I would say probably 2/3 of them. One is content in the showing partner role, and the other 2 want to become their own.
I love it. So, I don't know if you have seen our book yet, but we've got 4 national bestsellers out there. One of them is called the Club Wealth World Class Buyer Agent book. That one was on the Amazon bestseller list for a very long time. And it talks about the career path. And that's the career path that we define it. And it's so funny to me to hear you say this because, we haven't coached together yet. And yet you're doing so many great things that we've taught forever. And this showing agent model is a real benefit. What would you say? What were the challenges in implementing it, and what were the benefits? First of all, how does it work? What were the challenges in implementing, and how is it bringing you guys benefit today?
Well, so the buyer's agent will pay the showing partner a salary anywhere from, in our market, 2,000 and 2,500 a month. And then they get a percentage of each deal they touch that closes, typically 10% of what the agent brings in off that deal. We call it kind of a paid internship. And so we're looking for, ideally 18 months in that role. And if they're really in this long term, I mean, to sacrifice 18 months to learn the business in a career you're going to be in for 30 to 35 years, absolute no-brainer. So that's how we're pitching it. The agents are loving it, and they're learning good habits. Typically, the rainmaker of that team, the buyer's agent, is a top producer, probably doing 80 plus deals a year. So they're going to learn those traits. They're going to learn how to negotiate deals. So I think it's an absolute win-win.
I love it. That's fantastic. So we call those squad leaders in our teams.
Yeah.
So you've got your squads and you've got your squad leader, and so let's back up. So you've got these people with a new agent. Any new agent coming into your team, are they required to be a showing agent first or not?
We try and push them in that direction, but again, not always. Just depends on their level of, if we think, yeah, if they're going to be a rock star right out of the gates, we allow them to go and be a buyer's agent right away.
Right.
We don't allow new agents to become listing partners. Typically, that's, they're a buyer's agent for 5 years, and they'll maybe make that switch depending on their disc, right? So I have some buyer's agents that are very content, and their disc is best suited to work with buyers, and they aren't suited to work with sellers.
Okay, again, speaking my language. So I catch crap for this all the time. People love to tell me, oh, Michael, I work with buyers and sellers. And oh, Michael, that's so old fashioned of you to have listing agents and buyers agents. And that's just not today. Today, we do whatever we want, right? And I say, well, yeah, today people learn how to use a litter box in school because they identify as a Furby. Doesn't make it okay. It just means that's what they've chosen to do, right? Doesn't mean that's going to lead them to success in life. Just means that's what they've chosen to do. I'm not endorsing that any more than I would endorse, hey, let's go work with buyers and sellers. I mean, think about it. A doctor, who's more, who makes more money, a general practice doctor or a specialist?
Specialist. Yeah.
Freaking specialist, right? Okay, so here's what I want to know. On your team, and I see this happen on a lot of teams now. A lot of teams will say, okay, we're going to let you come in, and if it's your leads, Mr. Agent, if you bring in leads on your own, they're not team leads, and you want to work with both buyers and sellers on those leads, you're free to do that. But on our leads, if it's a listing lead, it only goes to our dedicated full-time listing agents. Are you doing that? Or are you saying anybody on the team is either a buyer agent or a listing agent? Or are you doing something different?
A little bit of a hybrid. So once they've done 20 million in sales, we allow them to pass clients in Sphere. If they want to, they would list those. But if they're new on the team and their uncle calls us, it's going to a listing partner.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Good stuff. So one of the concerns I have, and you've recognized it. So when I was selling, I was 120 to 180 transactions a month at a time when Jay and Mike were number 2 and number 3 actually, and those two combined were doing about half what I was doing at the time, and I was carrying about 750 listings in active and pending status. And so one of the things that I found, I had at the time 4, sometimes 5, but usually 4 listing partners. And one of the challenges I ran into is that these listing partners had to follow they each had to follow the exact same system. So they'd be on a listing and they would have to check the exact same boxes. They'd have to make sure that they're gathering the exact same information so that my staff could do their job. So that when they brought that paperwork back and handed it off, they could truly drop it on somebody's desk. That person takes care of it from there. And my guy's off going and getting more listings. Have you encountered those same challenges? And if so, how have you solved them?
Well, I mean, yeah, so that's the process, right? We want our agents negotiating deals and prospecting. So we have the same thing where we'll have a listing coordinator, closing coordinators, full-time photographer, runner. So they'll go and ideally, but they have to fill out all the paperwork, right? So I've instructed my listing coordinators, if it's not filled out, just give it back because we can't guess. And so what happens is that listing partner, typically a high D, maybe it doesn't pay attention to detail, but after that happens a few times, they start filling it out correctly, understanding they need to take 20 minutes and fill out the paperwork. And then, then it goes, we edit the photos and our photographer's out there and they don't have to do anything. So.
Yeah, so that's and so here's the key though. In order for that to be successful, what's got to happen is the listing coordinator has to make sure they're gathering every stitch of information on that appointment so that the staff isn't chasing stuff for the next 3 months trying to get stuff. And simple things like, hey, let's make sure the person's email address is correct on the listing paperwork. Because if it's not correct, guess what's going to happen? Our team is going to end up sending them an offer, and we're going to send it to the wrong address or the wrong email address, and it's going to be like we're going to look stupid, or spelling their name correctly on there. Like just there's so many little pieces of information that need to be super accurate, and that need to be handled in a specific way so that our team as a whole can have success with that client. Which again will change the client's overall experience with us, right? If the client has a world-class experience, guess what they're more likely to do? They're more likely to use us again. They're more likely to refer us again. And they're less likely to have concerns throughout the transaction, right? Like they're less likely to become a nightmare client throughout the transaction, if you know what I mean.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So this is good. I love where we're going here. All right. Listen. So I love this. Before we move on we're going to talk investments in a second here. Before we do, I want to talk about team culture, because team culture is such an overused term, and I think it's super misunderstood. And I don't think most people can really define what culture is on their team. I want to know, like, if you had to define, first of all, what do you think culture means? And then what does that look like on your team?
Well, I think culture, as we call ourselves, a dysfunctional family.
Hmm.
And we talk a lot about, even within the team, but also other agents, just always trying to assume positive intent. I think sometimes our mind races towards the negative. So within the team, we always just want to assume positive intent. And that has helped alleviate a lot of headaches and fights and arguments, like, and then come from a position of curiosity. So that's what we talk a lot about, is let's just assume positive intent. We have a lot of fun. We all are striving to, really, it's about the client having the best client experience. And so, a team member is a reflection of the team. So we want to make sure that they're carrying themselves the right way. Again, integrity matters, ethics, all those things matter. But yeah, it's just, again, having a lot of fun with each other, and we spend more time with each other than we do our spouses typically, in the office working 60, 70 hours a week. And again, it's a lot of fun, and we've got a lot of great people, and that translates into great agents.
So I'm stealing that, by the way. Assume positive intent. I love that. I'm going to totally make that mine. So you'll probably hear or see a quote from Michael Hellickson. Michael Hellickson says, assume positive intent. I just want to let you know that I'm totally
Yeah,
stealing. So that being said, I agree with you on that. I think it's too easy, especially in a text message or an email or whatever, to assume that somebody is being a jerk or, somehow has, intentions that are, not positive. And so I love that. I think that's valuable. Now, that being said, the whole coming from curiosity, all that, I love that. What I, what I really want to know though, what does it take to remain on the team? And here before you answer that, let me tell you where I'm going with this. I get that your culture is one of positivity and you're a dysfunctional family and all that, but what does it really look like? What's the tolerance level for? Like, is everybody a baller? Do you have people that are only going to do a deal every 3 or 4 months? What does that look like? And is there a difference in who gets how much attention from you? Is there a difference in, who gets how much leads or any of the other stuff?
Yeah, so I mean, I coach our top agents personally. My success coach he works with the middle tier and lower agents, maybe new on the team, and we talk a lot about, we'll run with the runners and we'll certainly walk with the walkers, but I can't sit with the sitter. And so if you become a sitter, which means not doing the basics, the prospecting, putting in the time, we just don't have room for you. That's not fair to the other team members. So we'll have that discussion where we know life happens, right? We know whether it's personal stuff or health, whatever it is, and we understand that. But with that said, once we get past that, it's go time, and we need to step up. So we evaluate things, and again, coming into a fall market, it's not fair to have those agents who aren't putting in the time and doing those things that we're requesting them to take leads from the ISAs. If all we're going to do is be a bird in the nest, I don't want you. You got to go out there and hunt. And if you're willing to hunt, we'll give you some leads and you'll have some lead phone shifts, and that's based on production. So again, for us, our ISAs are all outbound and they do take inbound. We have a lead phone shift. We do 3 shifts a day, 9 to 1, 1 to 5, 5 to 9. And so the top producing agents may have 10 lead phone shifts over a month. The bottom producing agents may have 3. ISAs will kind of pick up the pieces in the middle. And again, that's assigned by who's caught up on their task based on sales. We're not going to give my top agent a $100,000 buyer. That's probably going to go to a new buyer's agent who's new in the business, but she might get that $1 million. He might get that $1 million buyer.
The,
So
the, the experienced one.
yes,
Yeah.
correct. Yep.
Yeah.
And they've have the track record and the longevity to prove that they can work with that type of buyer. So
See, I love it because what you're saying is, hey, Michael, we're a meritocracy,
yeah,
right? And I love that. And I'm a huge believer in, if you want to run successful teams. I mean, I've got anywhere from, depending on the day or what's going on in the year, I may have between 100 and 150 employees in the coaching business at any given time. And then we've got, all this other stuff going on. Every team we've always been a meritocracy. And it's, you don't get, as an example, time with me, it's not given. You don't just get time with me, right?
correct.
You want time with me, it's earned. Like I'll spend time with ballers. I'll spend time with people who are really focused on growing and getting better and really, focused on improvement. But I also have to protect what's going in my head, right?
Right.
Because we do become the socioeconomic average of the five people we spend the most time with, and if those people are people that are weak, guess what I'm going to end up doing? In fact, I think Cody Sanchez. Do you know who Cody Sanchez is?
I don't. No.
Cody's a great, this gal, super smart, right? Young gal, and has just done really, really well buying businesses and growing lots and lots of different businesses. And Cody talks about, if I take a really high performer and I put them next to a low performer, the high performers production will come down by 30% and the low performers will come up by 15%.
100%.
Yeah, it's just such a, like, I got to protect my people from that dynamic. If you're a low performer, you need to step up or get out. End of story.
Right.
Uh, it's kind of like on your daily huddles, right? Like we won't, if I've got somebody who's on, we've got like our A team, our B team, and our C team, right? And if somebody on my C team, they're not allowed to ask questions in the huddle. You get to listen. But the last thing I want is for a C team player in front of my A team players to be asking questions in the huddle, like, how do I open a key box?
Yeah.
Right? Like you'll drive your top producers nuts, right?
No.
Nick Saban talks about, the key to any team is, you got to get the right players on the bus. You got to get them in the right seats on the bus, and you got to get the wrong players off the bus.
Oh, yeah, I agree 100%. Yeah, that's without question.
Yeah. So I'm assuming you fire people for non-production. Is that right?
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So again, it's what do they call it? Show friends, not or so show business, not show friends, right? And so you got to understand that you have a responsibility. I'm saying this to everybody watching in chat. I know you already know this, but guys, we have a responsibility as leaders to protect the team at all costs. And it's the team above all, not team members above all, not the team leader above all. It's the team above all. And that means if I've got a cancer on the team, I got to get rid of them. End
Yep.
of story. Like if a cancer quits, I got news for you. If a cancer quits, you're the problem. A cancer should never quit. They get fired because if
Yep.
they quit, they've spent the last 2 months creating problems on the team.
Hmm.
All right. So, in the interest of time, we have to switch gears to the next topic. And Chad, we're gonna have to do this again. We're gonna have to get together again and do another one of these because there's gonna be a lot of great info coming out of this. But here's what I want to know: what do you invest in?
Well, I mean, two things: real estate and Bitcoin.
And now here's the thing. I'm going to cut you a lot more slack than I would cut most agents because I get these agents, they're a tier one, right? They're doing 0 to 25 transactions a year and they're talking about how they're investing in Bitcoin. I just think, man, you're a moron. What are you thinking? Like, that's just dumb, right? But you're a very successful agent. You've got some money you can burn and it's not the end of the world, right? And by the way, you're investing in real estate, right? In a pretty big way. You've got, like 100 units out there in real estate units. And so, all right, man, I know Nicole's probably watching this right now or will be at some point. She's been hounding me about Bitcoin forever. And I'm just like, dude, you can't show me that you've made anywhere near as much in Bitcoin as I made in real estate. So if you count all of the things, full transparency, Chad, you
Yep.
can depreciation, both, if let's say accelerated depreciation, and you count the fact that somebody's paying off your mortgage, and you count appreciation, properties going up in value, and you count cash flow, and you count the fact that I can put 20% down. Worst case scenario, I'm putting 20% down, which is a 5-to-1 leverage, so I can get 5 times as much asset value for my one one piece of input, right, or cash up front. Can you tell me honestly, with a straight face, that you've made more in Bitcoin than you had with the same amount of initial investment in Bitcoin than you have in real estate?
Um, well, I was buying Bitcoin when it was $300. So that will, so again, that was years ago. But I mean, I think real estate is your best investment. Now, I will tell you, if you're investing in the stock market or a 401k, then I think those dollars should be allocated towards Bitcoin.
Oh, okay. All right. So I'm going to ask you the question again. Can you say, and I understand you were buying at 300, and so can you say that you have made more money on a dollars per invested standpoint from Bitcoin or from real estate?
I would say probably real estate, but again, we mine Bitcoin now, so I have miners, and so we take, we mine every day, and it's fascinating. So Bitcoin really is digital gold, right? I mean, it's people said, well, you're never going to do away with the handwritten note, and then email came along, and within time, now very few people write a handwritten note. It's all email, and that's gold was a store of, well, and now you get traction with that, right? Because nobody does it. Everybody does email,
And
and
so it works real. Personal notes are on fire right now, man. This
they
stuff is
are.
gold. You want to talk about gold? It's pretty
I
stuff.
I agree 110%
Yeah,
because nobody does it, right?
that's right.
So yeah, that's why.
Yes. Yes.
And gold, was a store of value for so many years, but how do I send a bar of gold to Japan, right? So I can send Bitcoin. It's there in seconds. It costs me a couple of dollars to send $1 million in Bitcoin. It transfers into their currency. It's fascinating. There's only going to be 21 million mined. We're at 19 and a half million. So I tell people, how do you become a whole coiner? How do you get one coin and just hang on to it and
Okay.
see where it's at in 2030?
Dude, you're gonna hate me for this, but I'm a hardcore, like, down to the nuts and bolts guy. What I just heard you say is, hey, Michael, first of all, you're a very smart guy. I want to start with that. Then what I just heard you say, Chad, was, hey, Michael, I've been buying Bitcoin since it was 300, which people can't do today. I was buying Bitcoin at 300. And as smart as I am, as good as I am, and oh, by the way, I'm mining Bitcoin, I have still made more money in my real estate investments per dollar invested than I have in Bitcoin. And I'm one of the best there is investing in Bitcoin, having done it the way you've done it. Am I
Well,
am I close to is that accurate?
we got that's a 206 times return at the current Bitcoin price. Um, well, like you said, I mean, you get the accelerated depreciation, you get the write-off, you can leverage. It's rich dad, poor dad, right? I mean, it's really how you create wealth. I think Bitcoin is a store of wealth. See the difference? So once you've made wealth through your real estate, you don't invest in a fiat because we know, inflation's real, right? The dollar is going to be printed to infinity. And that's why, so you have to get in hard assets, right? Because there are deficits at 35 trillion. So the government isn't going to default, right? That'd be catastrophic for the country. So how do they deal with a $35 trillion deficit? They inflate it away. Well, guess what that's good for? That's good for real estate and that's good for Bitcoin. So, you
Dude,
know,
I
right.
love how hard you're trying to defend Bitcoin right now. And I get this from all the Bitcoiners. Every time I talk to a Bitcoiner, I get this argument. But at the end of the day, I have yet to find a single Bitcoiner who's made more. And I've met some very smart, very successful Bitcoiners. And I've yet to meet one that's made more in Bitcoin with the same amount invested as in real estate. And by the way, most of them aren't even doing real estate amazingly well, right? Like they're not great at real estate. Here's the one of the big differences between real estate and Bitcoin. For me to make a lot of money in Bitcoin, I got to be pretty good at it. I could be an idiot and make pretty good money in real estate. I can make a lot of mistakes and do pretty well in real estate. I got to do Bitcoin pretty okay to make money in Bitcoin.
Well, that's my favorite line, right? I said appreciation makes geniuses out of all of us.
That's right.
I say that all the time with real estate.
Yep.
You can go into a deal, and I always tell the agents, don't play that hero realtor. I look at some of those agents during COVID where they were playing the hero realtor and said, you don't want to overbid, and guess what? Prices have doubled, if not tripled since then, and rates have gone from 3% to 7%. So did you really do your client a favor by
Nope.
playing that hero realtor and not getting them that house? Now it's look at how the market's changed and appreciation has just skyrocketed and rates have gone up. You did them a huge disservice not getting them into that home.
That's
Yeah.
right.
I'm
100%
passionate
agree.
about that.
I've never regretted the stuff that I bought. I can't think of a single house or a piece of real estate that I own that I regret buying. And and I own a lot of freaking real estate, all kinds of different types of real estate, mostly single family, by the way. But back to your 20, or back to your growth. You said it was like 270 or you
207,
multiply it 270 times or something like that.
692.
Dude, I look at real estate and I'm getting 27x on my investment every year on everything I buy. That's every year. I mean, and then you're getting the next year, you're getting 27% on that plus the 27% on the growth. And so, or sorry, 27x rather, not 27%, but 27x. And so again, guys, I can't stress this enough. I got all these real estate agents that watch this podcast and they're subscribers of Club Wealth TV. And I want you guys to hear this message loud and clear. You need to be your own best client. You need to buy more real estate as fast as you can, as much as you can.
I'm amazed how many agents don't own real estate. We talk about this a lot on the team. It's if you
Yep.
want to create wealth, set a goal. Is it one door a year? Is it two doors a year? But set that goal and start to implement it. And I'm amazed you just have to get started. And I'm 50, just turned 53, and we've been blessed because of real estate, right? I don't have to work because of that. I've been buying real estate for 30 years.
Yeah.
But I feel sad for some agents in our marketplace that are 75, 80 years old that are working not because they want to, because they have to.
Yeah.
And that's sad to me. I think and we're in a great industry, and why not buy the product you're so passionate about? It doesn't make any sense.
Well, and particularly for those that are in America, it's the best. It's the best investment out there, period. And by the way, if you're a real estate in America today and you paid taxes last year, shame on you.
Yeah.
Like you shouldn't have to be. Yeah, I haven't paid taxes since 2022. And by the way, not to get all political, like him, love him, hate him. I don't care if you can call him a misogynist, you can call him a felon, you can call him whatever you freaking want to call him. Donald Trump made all of us a bunch of freaking money. 2022 when he came out with accelerated depreciation, that was a gift. And by the way, it stimulated the economy. It was good for the whole economy, but it was especially good for investors like you and me. And because now instead of having to depreciate an asset over 27 and a half years, we can depreciate it and 81% of it year one.
Yeah.
And then the rest, there's another tranche in 7 and another big tranche, the rest of it in year 15. And ultimately, it creates a scenario where you shouldn't be paying taxes. You should just be taking that tax money you would have paid in taxes and go buy more real estate and just keep buying,
Right.
keep buying, and keep buying,
Right.
and just keep rolling that money. And that's what we've done, and it's phenomenal. I mean, and we don't have time on this call to get into generational wealth and all that. I'd love to sit down with you, Chad, and do another call sometime and let's go into generational wealth. Let's go into, what does it really look like to create a legacy using real estate investing as a strategy and as a vehicle to do that. But what I do want to find out from you right now, and this is going to sound silly, it's very rare that you would see me not wearing a tie. The tie that I happen to grab, I'm up in my cabin up in the mountains today. Check this out, dude. Pretty freaking rough. Look at this thing, dude.
Oh, gorgeous.
Yeah, today, so far in my yard today, I've seen a bunch of deer, I saw a bear, and I saw a bunch of turkeys. That's just this morning. We'll see how this afternoon goes. Love where I'm at. That being said, the tie that I went to grab today was wrinkled, so I didn't wear a tie today. And so, but I'm that guy. I'm always in a tie. Here's what I want to know, Chad. How often do you wear a tie? I see you wearing a tie right now. How often do you wear a tie, and how important do you think that is to success?
Personally, Monday through Friday. And if I have appointments on the weekend, I'll wear a tie. To me, I know my team's going to dress a step below me. But I think you have one chance to make a first impression. And I'll use the story. This was when I had partners and this Fortune 500 CEO flew in and we were meeting to go look at cabins. And one of my partners was dressed in kind of a wife beater and torn shorts. And I always dress this way every day. And afterwards, we became friends. And he said, "You're lucky you came and met me at the door because I was ready to leave
Yeah.
because of your partner introduced himself, and I thought, if that's a reflection of this company, I don't want to be a part of it. And I'll tell you, people always say, well, I don't want to overdress. Even a person who wears blue jeans or shorts, they appreciate you looking like a professional. So we always want to look the part because we truly are the professional in the industry. And we know it's a low bar to get your license. Minnesota, it's 90 hours, but darn it, we want to look the part and be the professional. And again, so I always wear a tie.
100%. I agree with that 100%. And I'll tell you this, I'll go a step further. I've split tested it. And so is my son, by the way. My son right now is his name's Austin. He's the #1 listing agent in the country right now. As far as we can tell, he's his first year selling real estate, 97 listings, second year, 125, I think. And that's not counting REO, and he had another 40 or 50 REO on top of that. This year so far he's in his third year now. And he's at, I think, at the time of recording this is June 25th right now that we're recording this. And I think he's at 75 or 80 listings already, not counting REO, and he's got another 40 or 50 REO this year. And so he did the same thing. And here's what we each did. Back when I was selling, I took a week wearing a tie, and then I went a week looking like I look right now.
Yeah.
And then I did another week wearing a tie and another week looking like I look right now. Guess where I listed more homes?
Looking like the professional.
He did the same thing. It was the weeks we wore a tie that we listed more homes. And some people say, oh, that's because you're more comfortable. No, I'm more comfortable like this.
Absolutely.
I love not having a tie around my neck, right? I am more comfortable like this. It has zero to do with my comfort level. It has everything to do with the perception of the person I'm with.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I love
Couldn't agree more. Yeah.
And so, guys, I hope you're listening carefully to Chad here, because Chad, again, 943 transactions in his best year with just 13 agents. And that's saying something. That's a very high per agent productivity. For those of you that aren't aware of that, has done very, very well, over 250 million in volume that first year. And all I'm saying, guys, is you need to hear what he has to say. I hope you watch this interview over and over again. Chad, if somebody watching this wants to get a hold of you, wants to send you a referral, tell us what markets you serve and how we get a hold of you.
Yeah, so I'm 2 hours north of Minneapolis. So I'm in a town called Brainerd, a lot of vacation rentals and cabins. So yeah, 2 hours north of the Twin Cities.
I love it. Great. And speaking of the Twin Cities, do you know Mike Bernier and Long Doan? They own Realty Group down there. Yeah, they're coaches on our coaching team, and yeah, good guys. In fact, I'll be officiating the marriage of Mike and his bride to be Tiffany at our Business Strategy Mastermind Conference in Minneapolis in October. So I'm going to make sure we get you at work. I'm going to get you an invite to that, Chad. You got to come out and join us for that.
Absolutely.
Would love to have you. Would love to have you. I'll make sure Tara gets you an invite to that today. So that said, I've got to get to my next meeting, and I'm sure you've got a full schedule today as well.
Thank you.
Boring stuff like we do, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Chad, you've been a phenomenal guest. Thank you for being on Club Wealth TV. I really, really appreciate it. And we'll get you links to this. We'll chop it up into lots of little shorts and all that stuff. And so if somebody wants to get a hold of you, best way to get a hold of you.
They can call me direct, 218-831-HOME, 218-831-4663, or just Google the Chad Schwindeman Real Estate Group.
I love it. Chad, thank you so much for being on today, man. Super helpful.
Thank you, Michael. Have a great day.
87%. Yeah, that's the percentage of all real estate agents that get in the business today that'll be gone in 2 years. Let me tell you something. Why is there so much turnover in real estate? Because it isn't easy. And because most people don't know exactly what they need to do to get to the next level. Now look, regardless of whether you're brand new to the industry or you're a team leader, you've got 40 people on your team and you just want to get to the next level. If you're doing 10 transactions a year, you want to get to 25. You're doing 500 transactions a year, you want to get to 1,000. You're at 1,000, you want to get to 10,000. Let me tell you something. You need the right coach. Why? Because Club Wealth is the only coaching company on the planet that will literally guarantee that you will double your income or make at least an extra $100,000 your first year coaching with us, or we will give you 100% of your investment back. This is for people of all levels. Click the link below, sign up for the appropriate tier level, and let's get you a strategy session today. And I promise you, I 100% guarantee you, promise you, that you will walk away with a heart full of gratitude for the time that we took for you, because you got so much value out of that call. Schedule your strategy session today. I promise you'll be glad you did.